Good morning, Heather here from 8 Wing Trenton. I'm a fitness and sports instructor. This morning I will be taking you through a flexibility mobility fusion class. It's going to be mainly yoga inspired, but I'll throw in a few other types of stretches here and there. Just popping on a couple minutes early just to do a quick little disclaimer before we get started with our class. So in response to COVID-19, PSP is offering virtual fitness to Canadian Armed Forces members. By using social media platforms, the virtual fitness classes tailored to Canadian Armed Forces personnel become accessible to all. Participants who are not Canadian Armed Forces members recognize and acknowledge that their age, health status, and physical fitness level are unknown, and it's entirely up to each individual to assess their ability to participate in this class. Since it is preferable to consult your physician before beginning any exercise program, we invite all participants who are not Canadian Armed Forces members to consult the Get Active questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiologists and its reference document. So those can be both found in the description of this video. If you experience any pain or difficulty during the exercises presented in this video, it is recommended that you stop and consult a healthcare provider. If you are a CAF member and you sustain an injury during this video, please remember to fill out a CF98. For this class, you are not going to need anything other than a mat and a water bottle. Feel free to work at your own pace throughout the class. So if I ask you to do something that doesn't really work for you, feel free to modify as needed. I will give modifications here and there. If you want to go back to something and take a little break that feels a little bit more comfortable and then jump back in again when you can, that's always an option. Feel free to play your own music in the background. I won't be playing any music on my end, so feel free to just play some and follow along that way. So we are going to get started. So I'll have you come on over to your mat, and we are just going to get started down on our backs. So come on down and extend out through those legs to start. From here, I'm just going to have you pull one knee in towards your body. So you can just hold on to that knee, give it a little squeeze up at the top. And then extend that leg all the way out along your mat. We'll take that other knee in, a little bit of a squeeze at the top. And then extend all the way back out along your mat. We'll go back to that first side. We'll pull that knee in. This time you can either grab on over top or just underneath your knee. We're going to take that leg into some hip circles. So you're going to just assist with your hand, take that through whatever range of motion feels good on that hip to start out this morning. And staying on that side, we're just going to change the direction of that hip. So we'll take it around the other way. Bring that leg back through center, little squeeze in again at the top, and then we're going to extend all the way out along our mat. Move over to that other side. We're going to pull that knee in. Little squeeze in at the top. So again, you can hold on over top or just underneath that knee, and we're just going to take that hips through some hip circles here on this side. Staying on that side, we're going to change the direction. Go over to that other side. Bring your knee in, extend all the way out along the mat. From here, we're going to pull both knees in. Take those knees into some hip circles. and take them the other direction. Come back through center. From here, we're going to let those feet drop down to the mat. We're going to walk those feet out nice and wide. From here, we're going to rock those knees side to side. Back up through center. From here, we're going to take an ankle and cross it over the opposite knee. From here, we're going to let both knees drop over to one side. So that ankle that's crossed over top, we're going to let that foot drop towards the floor. So that top knee is kind of pointing up towards the ceiling. We're going to let that knee kind of press away from us. Back up through center. We're going to let both legs drop off to that other side, so that ankle sitting on top of that knee. Pull back in through center. We're going to hold on to that leg that's in contact with the floor. So that foot that's in contact, we're just going to pull in. Give it a little squeeze in towards us. Leg all the way back down to the floor. We're going to uncross that ankle off of our knee. We'll take the other one over top. From here, we're going to go back to that second side that we did when we had the first ankle crossed over, so that that foot is coming down towards the floor. Other knee is pointing up towards the ceiling, just thinking about pressing that leg away. Coming back up through center, keeping the same ankle crossed over that knee, drop to that second side. Come back up through center, and then we're going to grab onto that leg that's still, that foot that's still in contact with the floor, and pull those legs in towards us. release that foot down. We're gonna let that foot come back down to the floor. From here, we're gonna pull both knees in towards our chest again, and we're gonna take it into a forward and back rock to transition into our tabletop. So holding on either over top or just below the knees, we're just gonna follow along the line of our spine, just rocking a few times, eventually coming all the way up into a seated position. From our seated position, we're gonna continue that rock forward onto our hands and our knees. So from here, we're gonna take it into a few cat-cow stretches. So you're gonna start off with a neutral spine. We'll tuck our chin and our tailbone under and round that back up towards the ceiling, really pushing through your shoulder blades. And then to reverse that, we'll just let our belly button drop towards the floor, scoop out through the back. Again, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. And reverse that. Just go through a few more rounds here. Tucking the chin, tuck the tailbone, and reversing it. Last time, scoop out through the back and come back into that neutral spine. So from here, we're going to take our focus into our side body. So we're going to try to bring our shoulder and our hip towards each other on one side. So you can look kind of back towards your ankle. So getting a nice stretch on that opposite side as you bring the shoulder and the hip together on one side. Coming back through center, keeping your head and neck in a relatively neutral position. We'll go over to the other side. Shoulder and hip coming together. Come back through center. First side. Back through center. Other side. And come back through center. So from here, we're going to sit all the way back on our heels, coming into child's pose. So stretching those arms out, you can rest your head down on the mat if that feels comfortable. Really reaching up towards the top of the mat with your fingertips, creating lots of space through the spine. From our child's pose, let's walk our hands over to one side of our mat. So maybe your hands are even coming off of our mat. Getting that nice stretch through the side. Walking those hands back through the center line and then coming over to that other side. Walk those hands back through the center line. We're gonna let our forearms come down to the mat. So from here, so you can kind of be still sitting back on those heels like you would be in your child's pose, but we're just kind of sliding those hands in. You're gonna take one hand and bring it up towards the side of your head. So keeping that other hand kind of anchored down into your mat, you're gonna lift that elbow up and try to look up to that elbow, opening up through the back. And then point that elbow back down towards the floor. We're gonna stay on this side for a few more rounds. Point that elbow up and look up. And then come back down. One more time on this side. Let's point that elbow up. And come on back down. We'll switch over to that other side. So anchoring that other forearm down to the floor, hand coming up to the side of the head. We'll point that elbow up and look up. And then elbow comes back down to your mat. Two more times on this side. Point the elbow up, look up. And come on back down. One more time on this side. Point that elbow up, look up. And come on back down. So from here, we're gonna switch back up into our tabletop position. And from here, we're going to come into our first downward facing dog. So we're gonna tuck our toes underneath. We'll push our hips up and back, creating that upside down V shape. And in our first downward dog, we're just gonna walk out through our heels a few times here. From our downward dog, we're gonna start to walk our feet in towards our hands, bending into those knees in our first forward fold. So bend into the knees enough that you can at least get those fingertips down to the mat or your full hand, and then use the mat to kind of assist yourself trying to straighten out through those legs a little bit more. And then on an inhale, you're gonna bring your arms all the way up overhead. And exhale those arms down to your sides. From here, inhale those arms up. Exhale, coming into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale into your forward fold. We're gonna step one foot at a time all the way back into a high plank. From your high plank, drop to your knees, extend through your feet, lower all the way down to the mat. From here, little chest lift, lower back down, press all the way back into your knees, tuck your toes under, push up and back, downward facing dog. So option to stay with that level if you'd like, or we can ramp it up on our next round. So from here, we're gonna look to the space between our hands. You can either walk, step, or hop the feet in, coming into that forward fold. Inhale, arms come all the way up overhead. This time, let's bring the hands to touch overhead, and then bend the elbows, bring the hands behind your head if available. Bring your arms up overhead, just exhale your arms down to your sides. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands slide up the shins. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step or jump back to your high plank. Exhale, lower down through chaturanga. You can drop to your knees if you need to. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. And exhale into your downward facing dog. Nice job. From this downward dog, we're gonna come into a three-legged dog. So we're gonna lift one foot off the ground. We're gonna push our heel up towards the ceiling. From here, I'm gonna have you bend into the knee of that extended leg. As you bring those hips forward, you're gonna try to step that foot through your hands. From here, you're gonna drop your back knee down to the mat, extend through that back foot. Then we're gonna bring those arms up overhead. From here, you're gonna drop the opposite arm to that front leg down to the floor. As your other arm reaches up, you're gonna look up to that hand. Bring that hand down to the inside of that front leg, landing just on the inside of that foot, and you're gonna rotate open to the other side. Bring that arm down. So both hands should now be on the inside of that front leg. We're gonna walk that front foot out to the side just a little bit more. From here, you can stay up on your hands. If you wanna come down a little bit farther, you can try to drop to the elbow that's farthest away from that front leg. So we're keeping this front foot flat. You can try to drop to one elbow. Maybe you stay here. If available, you can drop your other elbow. Other option here would be to tuck the toes on that back foot and lift the back knee up. So a couple different things here. I'm feeling pretty tight through that hip this morning, so I think I'm just going to stay with one elbow down. From here, if you're down on your forearms, you're going to walk yourself back up onto those hands. From here, you're going to tuck your toes under on that back foot, and we're going to try to extend this front foot all the way back up, back into our three-legged dog. So we're going to lift up off that back knee, push all the way back, and then land that foot down into our downward dog. From here, we'll go over to our other side. So three-legged dog, lift that back leg up, and bend into that extended leg as you step that foot through. Drop your back knee, extend through your back foot. Bring those arms up overhead. From here, drop your opposite hand to the inside of that front leg. Rotate open towards your leg. Arm overhead is going to drop to the inside of that front leg. We're going to open away from that front leg. Bring that arm down to the inside. From here, you're going to walk that front leg out slightly to the side. You can choose to stay up on your hands here, or if available, you can drop to your elbows. So you're always going to start with that elbow that's farthest away from that front leg first. If available, you can drop your other one, and your third option is to tuck the toes on that back leg and lift that back leg up, trying to stay down, keeping that front foot staying down, and just finding whatever level feels good that you want to stay at to start here. If you're down on your forearms, you're going to walk back up onto your hands, tuck your toes under on that back leg, and you're going to extend that front leg all the way up and back into three-legged dog, and then land down. So from here, we're going to come into a bit of a different hip opener, one that's sort of newer to me. We're going to drop to our knees here. What we're going to start with here is we're going to try to pull our other knee kind of in towards our chest. Maybe you can get your foot down, and you're going to thread it in front of your other knee. So our knees are kind of stacked, one in front of the other here. And we're going to turn our feet kind of out to the sides. From here, you're going to start to ease back. So maybe you can only come to here. Maybe you can't sit all the way back, but you should feel a really big opening in that bottom hip. If you can, you're going to try to come all the way into a seated position here. So, knees are kind of stacked, one over top of the other, feet are out to the side. The closer your feet are to your body, the less of a stretch through the hip you're going to get. So if you can Kind of kick those feet out a little bit while keeping those knees stacked. You're going to get a little bit more of a stretch here. If you have anything that you could sit on, like a blanket or a block or something, if you have anything nearby, you can also use that to get into that seated position. From here, the arm that's on the same side as that leg that's crossed over top, you're going to reach it up over your head and then bend at the elbow and trying to reach that hand down your back. Other arm staying tucked to your side, you're going to bend at the elbow and try to reach up your back. So trying to bring those hands to touch if you can. If you have that clasp through the hands, you can release that. Bring your hands out in front and you're going to come back sort of through your tabletop. So letting those knees come down to the floor, and then you can unwrap those legs. So you're going to face the front for the other side, just so it's a little bit easier to see the shape of my legs. So from here, again, one knee is in contact. You're going to try to bring your other knee up towards your chest, and then you're going to tuck it in and around that other knee. So our knees are kind of tucked in to each other. Feet are going to come out to the side. And you're going to start to sit back. So again, maybe you only come to here. Maybe this is enough of a hip stretch for you. If you can, try to ease yourself back so you can come into a seated position. So knees are kind of lined up one over top of the other, and feet either are tucked in nice and close to your body, or if you can, trying to sweep them out a little bit farther out to either side. So adding the arms in on this side, the arm that's on the same side as that leg that's over top is going to reach up overhead. Other arm is tucking in by your side. You're going to bend into those elbows and try to bring those hands to touch behind your back. This side is a little bit more challenging for me than the other side. So if you're like me, you might be a little bit imbalanced, so don't be surprised if one side feels a lot easier than the other. So really great hip stretch, really great shoulder stretch here. If you have that hand clasp, you can release that clasp, so hands are coming out in front. We're going to rock forward so that we can come up out of this hip stretch. Unwrap those legs. And from here, we are going to come right up, back up into our downward dog. So feel free to grab a sip of water at any point if you need to. Jump back in when you're ready. From here, we're going to bring one leg up into three-legged dog again. From here, we're going to bend into that knee and we're going to open up that hip to one side. Bring those hips back to center. We're going to let that foot land in between those hands. So if it didn't make it as far forward as you would have liked it to, feel free to adjust from here. And then with that back leg, we're just going to take a little step in. So our feet are closer together than they traditionally would be for a warrior type of pose, but we're going to be doing a standing pyramid here. So you can keep your hands on the floor if you're able to straighten out through that front leg. For me, I need to lift up a little bit. So you can start from here, try to position yourself so both hips are facing forward, both feet are facing forward, pretty straight through that front leg, feeling that stretch through hamstring and calf on that side. You can just keep your back flat here. If you're able to, you can start to kind of fold over that front leg. Maybe your hands come down to the ground to touch, maybe not. Choose the level that feels good for you. From here, you're going to bend into that front leg, and we're going to lift this back leg up, coming right into Warrior Three. So if you need to bring your hands down to the floor, that's an option, or arms can extend out in front. So we're going to lift that back leg up. Maybe extending through the arms. Maybe hands come down to the ground to touch. Maybe hands want to stay on the hips. And from here you can just step those feet together. Good. From here, inhale those arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step or jump back to your high plank. Lower down through chaturanga. Baby cobra or up dog. And exhale into your downward facing dog. Nice job. So hold here for a few breaths. Anytime you want to walk it out through those heels, that's always an option. If you need a bit more of a break, you can always come back down into child's pose. From here, other leg lifts up, three-legged dog. Bend into that knee, open up that hip to the other side. Rotate those hips forward, step the foot through the hands. From here, little step in on that back foot, lifting those hands up off the floor if you need to get that extension through that front leg. So hips are facing forward, feet are facing forward. Maybe you're just staying at that flat back. Maybe you are able to round over that front leg. Finding whatever option works for you. Getting a little bit of a bend into that front knee, and then up into warrior three. Step those feet together as you come up to that stand. From here, inhale those arms up overhead, hands to touch, bend at the elbow, let those hands come down behind your head. Reach up, dive forward. Halfway lift, forward fold, jump or step the feet back, lower down, up dog, and into downward facing dog. Nice job. Hold here. From here, we'll come back to that first side, coming into three-legged dog again. And here we're going to shoot our foot through our hands. A little step in to adjust on that back foot. So our back foot is kind of on a 45-degree angle. Entire foot is in contact with the mat. We're going to bend into that forward knee. You can adjust how far apart your feet are as you come up. And we're going to rotate all the way open into warrior two. So arm that's forward is on the same side as that forward leg. And from here, we're going to come into extended side angles. You're going to bend that elbow coming onto that front leg. Other arm is going to reach up, looking up to that hand. You can reach forward over that head if available. Still trying to keep in mind opening that chest. If you want to add on a little bit more, you can take that bent arm off your leg, slide it down the inside of that front leg, still maintaining that bend in that front knee. Open all the way back up to warrior two. Rotate that hand open on that front leg, other hand comes to the back leg. Reach up, look up. Windmill those arms forward so hands are landing on either side of that front foot. From here, we're going to step all the way back into our plank, lower down through Chaturanga, baby cobra or up dog, and exhaling into downward facing dog. From here, other leg extends up to three-legged dog. We will shoot that foot through the hands, adjust that back foot so you're on that 45-degree angle, and windmill those arms open into your warrior two. Again, feeling free to adjust through your foot position when you get here if you need to. We're going to bend into that front elbow, resting on that front knee. Arm is going to extend up. If available, you can reach forward over your head. If you would like to add on here, that front arm can slide down the inside of that front leg. Still trying to keep that chest open to the side. Open all the way back up through warrior two. Rotate that front palm to face up, reach up, look up. Windmill those arms forward, so arms are coming to land on either side of that front foot. From here, you're going to step all the way back into your high plank, lower down through Chaturanga, baby cobra or up dog, and downward facing dog. Nice job. From here, we're going to shift into high plank, and we're going to lower all the way down to our mats. We're going to come into bow pose to finish off today. So we'll kind of work our way up to it. So we're going to start out by sliding our hands out in front and just doing a little chest lift here. So forearms are in contact, we're just lifting head and chest up. Your neck is in a neutral position, so you're not looking straight ahead. You want to kind of be looking down at the mat, sort of out in front of you. From here, I'll just have you bend into one knee, bringing your heel towards your glute. Extend through that leg. Other side, bring that leg in and extend through that leg. From here, I'm going to have you walk one hand kind of a little bit more towards the midline, and your other hand is going to reach back behind you. From here, so your front arm can be at a bit of an angle if that's more comfortable. You're going to bend into the leg on the same side, and if you can, you're going to try to reach back and grab onto that ankle. So it can be inside, outside, whatever feels comfortable. If you can wrap your hand around that foot, that's an option too. And just really trying to think about lifting that chest up. Release that foot, bring that hand back down. We'll switch sides here. Grabbing onto that opposite leg if you can. If you can't reach your feet, no worries. Release that foot, bring the hands back out in front, lower back down to your mat for a moment. Let's give our lower back a little bit of a break. We'll push all the way back onto and sit back onto our feet. Coming all the way back out to your kneeling plank, lower back down to your mat. From here, you're gonna rest your head down on the mat. Arms are just gonna reach behind you. You're gonna bring your feet together. So we have one more kind of workout drill before we go into our bow pose. From here, what we're gonna try to do is keeping our legs straight, keeping our arms reaching behind us. We're gonna try to lift our chest up and lift our legs up as you look kind of out to your mat in front of you. So not bending through the knee yet, just really trying to reach through those feet, reach those arms back. So kind of like a Superman, but arms are reaching back instead of forward. And lower back down. So option to stay there if you'd like. If you want to try to grab onto your feet, our next time up, basically going to be the same thing, but we're going to bend into our knees to start. You can kind of go one at a time rather than trying to reach back and grab both. You can lift your chest up, try to grab onto one leg, grab onto your other. And when you're ready, lift the chest, lift the legs, coming into your bow pose. One more nice deep breath in. And exhale, release. Nice job. You can push all the way back up onto your knees into that tabletop. We'll have a seat and then we'll swing our legs around out front. From here, we're going to lay all the way back down onto our mat. We're going to slide our feet in, walk our feet together so they're touching, and then let those knees kind of just drop out to either side. Arms can extend out to your sides if that's comfortable. Bring those knees back together so feet don't have to touch. You can walk them a little bit wider apart and then just let both knees drop out to one side. You can look out over that opposite arm. Knees come back up through center. Let them drop over to the other side. Come back up through center. Pull those knees in towards you. And just take it into a little bit of a side-to-side rock. So just massaging out through that lower back before we take it into a final relaxation. Maybe you want to draw some circles with those knees on the ceiling, massaging out that back. Kind of just doing whatever feels good at the end of our class today. Bring those feet back down to the mat. So if your lower back is bothering you at all, feel free to stay in this bent knee posture, or you can come back into that butterfly, so opening up at the knees. If you're comfortable enough, you can come into full extension of those legs. Turn your palms to face the ceiling, let those feet drop out to either side, and just trying to let go of any tension that you're holding on to, especially up through the neck, shoulders, jaw. Just trying to bring that breathing back down to your normal pre-exercise relaxation levels. And taking this opportunity to check in with yourself, see if anything maybe needs a little bit more attention. Maybe you want to spend a few minutes after class stretching anything else that you think needs a little bit more attention today. Feel free to stay in this final relaxation as long as you would like to, and whenever you feel ready to come out of it, you're just going to bring some movement back in gradually. So whether that's rotating through wrists or ankles, moving your head side to side, flexing through the hands, flexing through the toes, maybe bending into those knees. And whenever you feel ready, you will then just roll onto one side and use those hands to gently press yourself back up into a seated position. All right, thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions about today's class, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will get back to them whenever I can. If you guys are looking for any more virtual classes, if you're following along just with Trenton and you're looking for some more options, if you go to the Calf Connection page, it has a full listing of all of the virtual fitness classes that are being offered at all of the bases, so feel free to check out any of those classes. There are also lots of awesome opportunities through health promotion with different webinars and things like that, so feel free to check that out on Calf Connection, and I will see you guys next time.